Hey everybody, this is Nate from the Preuss Sports Podcast. This is the January edition of the podcast. And today's topic is about the NFL wildcard round and the divisional series, and later, which will come the next edition of the podcast, the Super Bowl. So let's start with the wild card. So the first game of the wild card, it was a complete blowout by San Francisco. Look at this. 23-41 49ers against the Seahawks. First quarter, it was all San Francisco, but second quarter, it was looking bad for 49ers. 17 points for the Seahawks in the second quarter compared to San Francisco's 6. So they were leading 17-16 by halftime. But then third and fourth, Jesus Christ, 18 points in the fourth quarter. Add that to 7 from the third quarter, and just 6 points from Seattle in the second half. Just complete collapse of the offense. Just complete collapse. That's it. Yeah, nobody was expecting Seattle to win. Look, Seattle just barely got into the playoffs, only with only a 500 record, compared to the 49ers, who were, let's be honest, was one of the best teams in the league right now. Then second wild card game, pretty close game. 17-24 was the score between the Baltimore Ravens and the Cincinnati Bengals. So first quarter, there was nothing really that happened, just a field goal. Second quarter, 10 points for the Ravens, 6 for the Bengals. So Ravens were leading by 1 point at halftime. It was 10-9. Then a touchdown by Baltimore in the third quarter. Then 8 points by Cincy in the third. And then just nothing from Baltimore in the fourth quarter, while the Bengals managed to get a touchdown and win the game, 24-17. The third game was kind of shocking. The New York Giants, they beat the Minnesota Vikings 31-24. And many people were talking about Minnesota as like one of the favorites. They were talking about how good Minnesota was going to be, they were going to make it far in the playoffs, but they got stopped by the New York Giants. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that the Giants did that? And first quarter, 14 points for New York. So two touchdowns for New York, just a touchdown for Minnesota in the first quarter. Then a field goal in the second, and Minnesota closed it out with a touchdown. So Minnesota was losing by 3 points at the halftime. Then two touchdowns in the second half from New York, and just a single touchdown and a field goal for the Minnesota Vikings to send the Vikings packing back home to Minnesota. To be honest, all that hype for Minnesota, that they were going to be this big team in the playoffs, it's really disappointing to see that they lose to the freaking New York Giants. They weren't even that good of a team. They were just 10-7. Then you got what for me is probably the most surprising game, besides which game I'm talking about. Was the Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. To be honest, Josh Allen wasn't at his best. He threw 2 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, and only 352 yards. It was it was close. It was a close game for a game that many people thought that Buffalo would win easy, but it wasn't. It was a pretty hard fought game, and the Dolphins were always on their track. At halftime, they were just losing by 1 point. So I think it was a pretty crazy game. Tua performed well as you think Tua would, and And what saved Josh Allen was his receiving, not his receiving, his rushing, his running backs, and the kicker. The kicker did really good. Tyler Bass, 10 points. 10 points from Tyler Bass's kicks. Then you get a touchdown from the defense in Dean Marlowe. Then you get touchdowns from James Cook. James Cook did pretty good. He had 12 carries, 39 yards, a touchdown. So a bit of a scare for the Buffalo Bills. The Cowboys versus the Buccaneers. And it was kind of painful to watch Tom Brady play as quarterback. The quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady, he looked terrible out there. He looked absolutely terrible. Like, he made 66 attempts. Only 35 were caught. 351 yards, okay. 2 touchdowns and a single interception. And it was terrible. It was a terrible game from the Buccaneers. It was, and I think it's kind of more of a call for Brady to just retire. He just has to retire. You know, it's like he's past his prime. I think he doesn't have his voodoo magics, football skills, whatever the hell. But he's just like not there. The Cowboys absolutely dominated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Dallas looked really good in this game. They looked really good, especially from a great performance by Dak Prescott. But one thing that a lot of people are paying attention to is the kicker. The kicker, Brett Maher. He was just terrible. He was a terrible, terrible performance by him. He missed 4 extra points. 4 after like every 4 extra points after 4 touchdowns, and he only scored 1 point. It's when the Jacksonville Jaguars were facing the Los Angeles Chargers. First half of the game, it was complete domination by the Chargers. They were leading by 27 points before Jacksonville even had the opportunity to score. They had multiple opportunities and 4 interceptions. Trevor Lawrence, the quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, threw 4 interceptions in the second half. I mean, not in the second half, in the first half. 4 interceptions. And so a lot of people were thinking like that the Jaguars were done. They were done. But somehow the Los Angeles Chargers managed to pull off one of the biggest chokes I've ever seen in my life. I've seen a lot of chokes. We've seen a lot of chokes within sports history, but this one's up there. 27 points. 27 points. You're leading by 27 points before the other team has even scored. And somehow the team just completely imploded. No, nothing. They just choked. It was a complete choke. And here's the thing. It would have been more forgivable if it was like one of the big teams like the Bills or the Chiefs. But no, how do you blow a 27 lead against the Jacksonville Jaguars? Damn, like Spanos, sell the team. Sell it. Nobody wants you here in LA. Nobody wants you there. And honestly, I'd say good for Jacksonville because because the Chargers, everyone in San Diego is happy. A lot of people in San Diego are happy with how everything went out. So, to be honest, I'm kind of happy that the Chargers lost. Very happy. And now on to the divisional round. So Saturday, the first game of the division round is going to be the Jaguars versus the Chiefs. The second game will be the Giants against the Eagles. January 22nd. Bengals versus Bills. Divisional round. Cowboys versus 49ers. I think the two best games are going to be like the two games that you will probably have to see, like that you would say is like the two best matchups are the Bengals versus the Bills and the Cowboys versus the 49ers. Other than that, the other two I think is going to be complete domination. I think it's just going to be two games that are dominated by the Chiefs and the Eagles. Eagles and the Chiefs have been two of the best teams within the league. So and plus maybe that I think the Jaguars game was just a complete fluke because the Chargers are the Chargers. You can never take you can never take San Diego out of the team. You can never take the San Diego out of the Los Angeles Chargers. It doesn't matter where you move. San Diego will always be there, and so that means choking in the playoffs. So I think that the Jaguars, if the Jaguars do win, I think that's gonna be more like the Phillies that went to the World Series. Because this is a team that on paper is the weakest team. And they're going up against one of the strongest teams in the entire league with Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster. You've got a lot of star players. You've got a really good coach in Andy Reid. All that Jacksonville has for them is Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor was really bad in the first half of his first playoff game. So I'd say Patrick Mahomes owns the Jaguars, and they dominate the game against the Jaguars, and Chiefs go on to the conference championships. New York Giants versus Eagles. I think Eagles are gonna decimate the Giants. The Giants have no chance against the Eagles. Bengals versus Bills. This is the one that I think is going to be the best game. Either that or the Cowboys or 49ers versus the 49ers. The Bengals, both teams are being led by two not too promising quarterbacks, two star quarterbacks in Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. And for me, it's honestly a hard pick. It is a very hard pick because both were really good, but I think the Cincy Bengals will win against the Buffalo Bills because in the first game, the game before the whole Damar Hamlin incident happened, Cincy was looking good. They were looking good against Buffalo, and they were winning. So I think it might happen again, and I think that this time it's gonna finish with Cincy winning and going to the conference finals. To the comp. And then I think the second best game that's gonna happen is the Cowboys versus 49ers. Because both only have one game separating their records. And San Francisco, they're looking pretty good with Brock Purdy. Brock, he looked good in his first game. He looked good in his first game. A little bit unsteady, but still good. Dallas came off of sending Tom back home, and I'm gonna say 49ers win. I think 49ers will edge out against the Cowboys, and I think they're gonna go to the conference finals. And I think that for the Super Bowl, I think it's gonna be either. I think it's gonna be either Bengals or Bills. I don't think the Chiefs are making the Super Bowl. And the Eagles or 49ers. Those are my picks. So I think that the most probable one is going to be Bengals Eagles. And that is my prediction for who is going to the Super Bowl. So that's all for today, and I'll see y'all in February when I'll talk about the Super Bowl. Ciao.